This is the polyurethane coat I'm going to use. Yes, it is food friendly. I have my wood ready there, and this gentleman at Home Depot is going to help me cut the wood to size. So if you're going to make this, you could make sure you have all your measurements ready to go so that you tell them exactly what you want. As long as the pieces are not too small, they're pretty helpful and they'll cut it down for you. So I'm cutting 2 boards, a smaller one that's going to hold about 42 donuts, and a bigger one that will hold twice the size. The small one goes on a table and the bigger one is going to stand alone. So that is what we're working on here. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate you guys so much. And let me know if you have any questions down below. Stay tuned, grab your coffee because this is a detailed one. Thanks for being here.
Welcome to Sodo Creations, where we make your imagination a reality. Today I'm going to build a donut wall. Now I have an event coming up in a couple of months and they're renting a donut wall. I'm gonna build it so it's ready for that event. I'll explain the whole process with you guys, but I decided they're renting the table donut wall, the donut wall for a table, but I decided to also make this full floor donut wall where it stands on its own. So we're going to prep everything. I'm just gonna do both at the same time simultaneously. That way I have both to rent out in the future. I figured that if I'm gonna make this smaller one, I might as well make the big one because I have a couple of designs that I want to do with a champagne wall and things like that. But let's start with this donut wall. So first we have to buy the supplies, so I'll show you how I get everything from Home Depot. Not as detailed because sometimes I don't want to record people in my videos, but again, I'll have all the supplies listed in the description down below so you guys can follow along and you can know the exact things I buy and use for these projects. So first we're starting out with this 3/4 of an inch I said balloon, we're not doing balloons. We're starting out with 3/4 of an inch wood. You can see it has a little bit of blemishes on this side, so I'm gonna flip it over. I'm actually in the bridal suite, the front room of the bridal suite. I figured this was one of the messier places to work so the wood can go and I can just vacuum later on. I don't have anywhere else carpet wise to work, so we're gonna do this. And I have my desk that I'm gonna sand sometime this week so I can paint it. It's gonna go in my office. I still have to decorate my office and all that, but I'll show you guys that process in the future. So let's get on with this. I'm gonna flip this around, just checking both sides to see which side I prefer to use on, so you can kind of see. I'm gonna move you back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I want to show you guys my sketch first. So this is the design I'm trying to go for right here, where there's a base and it's framed in. The issue is that I realized I need to have a slant to it, but I thought about a solution and I'll work on that here later on. But first I want to work on this part, which is the main board. I have it all drawn up and they cut this to size. So he cut 38.75 by 38.5 and he asked me, does it have to be exactly the 38.75? Can it not be 38.5? I said yes, because it took me a lot of time to come up with this and finally decide this is what I want to do. I'm leaving about 10 inches at the top so I can do whatever custom word the customer wants me to do. So I'll be able to customize. At the end, this donut wall is gonna hold 42 donuts. So this is the sketch. I'm gonna draw these dots out and start working on the screws. They're each 4 3/4 of an inch apart, all the dots. So we're making everything aligned and even. If you prefer the design that you do where you alternate, like this dot would be here where it's alternating between the others, you can do that as well. I just wanted everything aligned, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other one. Let me show you the bigger one. This is my bigger sketch. Hopefully you can see that. I left space at the top and at the bottom because I don't want it to touch the floor. I want to leave some space where the donuts are not way low. So it's 10 inches from the floor, and the spacing is the same, but I'm leaving 5 inches all around, and the top part I'm leaving 14 inches so that I can make the sign bigger because it's a bigger wall. So that is that, and it's gonna look something like this, except my backboard is gonna tilt. So this one here is gonna tilt into this frame. It's not gonna be straight through. I'm gonna tilt it from this angle coming to this angle so that the donuts don't slip off. So let's work on drawing out all these holes and drilling them in and vacuuming. If we can at least get this part done, then tomorrow we just have to frame it and then work on painting. I thought I was recording, but this whole time it wasn't recording. So this is what I have so far. Had to make sure that that top part was 10 and I had the right width. So you're looking at it just like in the picture. There's this right here, but that's the only one on this side, so I went with this side. I'm gonna sand it down, probably fill it up, sand it some more, but it's on the bottom, so it's not a big deal. That's what I have so far. Everywhere the grid meets, there'll be a hole, so I made it overlap. So okay, my dowels are 1/2 inch in diameter, so the holes are gonna be 1/2 inch as well. It's gonna fit nice and snug so they don't fall out. We might need a hammer to tap it in, but we want it snug so they don't come off. So what I have my drill here. We're gonna change this out because we don't need this. We're gonna switch it out for a 1/2 inch, which is this one right here. See, it's 1/2 inch. So that's what I'm gonna use. I haven't used this before, but we'll see. The other thing is, we don't want to drill through. This is a 3/4 of an inch thick. I don't want to drill through it, so I'm gonna mark maybe 1/2 inch to go down, so I don't go past where the drill is. So I'm gonna probably use some of this tape so I can mark and not drill through it. I don't want the hole to go through. So we'll do, let's see, let me measure the end here. You guys, right there. So as soon as I get to that tape, then I stop. Okay, gonna go slow because I haven't done this before. I don't wanna mess it up. I'm gonna go straight down. The good thing is this has the tip, which is pointed, so I just need to put that on the dot and drill down. the tape shifted, so I decided to just put it long ways, because when this fills up with wood, it just pushes the tape away as you're drilling. So I put it along the swirl or whatever it is. But I'm all done drilling. Now I'm gonna vacuum everything and see what it looks like. Now I have to sand it down, but I don't know if I should prep this on the big one or sand this one down first. I think I'm gonna prep the big one so we're caught up on both, and then we'll just sand everything at once. Okay, this is what we have so far. This one was pretty accurate. This one here, I noticed wasn't as accurate because of the bottom. Not a bad thing. When I measured the 10 from here down, I thought it was a little low, but now it's 12. So the top part is 14 to the first donut, and from the last donut down is 12, which is good. That's about the perfect height. I didn't want it too low right here. So I have all the holes drilled. This wood was a little bit harder to get the spaces emptied, but I'll use something tomorrow to get the rest excess out. Of course, I have to sand it tomorrow and vacuum again. You can see where the hole still looks full, but it's just the debris from the type of wood. But this wood is a better quality than the previous one. So this one, you can see the holes. Compared to this, it just vacuumed real quick and they were all clean. So I have to sand both tomorrow, then see what wood I have to build the frame around it. So I already bought the screws, and I have to build this frame around it. I need it wide enough that it'll tilt like that. Not too much, but a slight tilt so that the frame is still straight, but the board will be tilted. I'll explain that when we get to that point. And I bought these screws to pretty much frame it with it. I have my sander here. We'll see all this tomorrow, but I bought these because the wood is 3/4 of an inch. I got the 18 gauge, where is it? 1 inch. The plan tomorrow is frame, prime, paint, then paint the dowels as well. I have all the dowels here. Paint the dowels, cut them down, fit them. This is gonna be a longer project than I thought, but I have to leave because I told myself I wasn't gonna stay here past midnight, and it's getting pretty close. So the time for me to lock up and all that. So we will continue this journey. I'm gonna move my stuff out of the way because I'm not coming back early, and the guys who are doing the sheetrock in there will have to move their stuff to work. So I'm gonna get this out of the way so they can come in and do their stuff, and then I'm gonna head home. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, we're back at it. This is day 2. I have a base here. It's the same thickness, the 3/4 of an inch thickness for this. I'm gonna work on this first because the scrap wood I have, I want to make sure it works for this. This is actually my priority to get done. I can buy more wood later for the bigger one, but I want to get this one done and paint it
really today. Hopefully we have a lot of after school activities, so I don't know how much I'll get done. I did measure it out where it'll sit. The donut wall is gonna be right here where this arrow is, and it's gonna go upright, but I do want to create kind of a frame around it, so I'm gonna use this 1/2 inch wood to frame it so it's not as thick on the sides. So I measured that and I counted for it. I have to cut here, and then I'll cut the pieces for this one as well, so that when I come back from picking the kids up from school, I can frame this around. So I need 3 pieces. The donut wall is gonna sit on this, and then I need a piece that goes on both sides and then across the top to frame it all. I'm thinking I might have to round these edges, but I don't know yet. I'll work on that whenever I come back to put it all together, because I don't know if this is gonna cut it. I haven't used this before, but we'll see how it works. I don't even know how it works, but we'll figure it out. If not, later we can call Matt to help out. I'm gonna see if I can cut this right now and then measure actually let's measure the other ones first, so we cut out all of it at once. Okay, so I have them drawn out. These are the 2 pieces that are gonna go on the sides, and this is the piece that's gonna go on the top. It's slightly longer because it's gonna overlap to cover the thickness of these woods on the side to make it square. So let's figure out this and get to cutting. Someone gave me a crash course on using it, so we'll see how we can cut this. It looks like the biggest thing is keeping the wood stable. Let's try. This is fun. My hair though. Oh. Hello, we are back at it. I don't know if I showed you this, if it was recording, I don't remember, but I sanded all that down before I went to pick up the kids from school. We did a bunch of stuff. They're done with dinner and all that stuff. Everyone's taken care of. Now I'm back here because I really need to get this painted today. It's all sanded. The only thing I haven't sanded down are the dowels. So I'm gonna sand that down before I paint everything. It took a while to take off all these stickers off of the dowels, but I was able to get it all done. I decided to spare you guys watching me do that. So this is the last one. I'm gonna sand these down. They're not too bad, but I'll just sand it before I roll the paint on each. I think I'm just gonna paint the whole thing. Then once it dries, I'll cut it down and
just paint the very end, the very tip, after I glue the open end onto each board.
So one of my biggest pet peeves is when you put the nails and they go through one side or the other and it's not straight. This is not stable, but I thought, even though I measured where the wood would sit as far as the donut wall itself along the base here, I didn't account for the fact that I need to know where to put the nails on the bottom. Same with this, I put that and I can't tilt it over because this is not steady, it's just gonna break. So what I decided to do is measure the distance from here to here, which is about 4.5, right there in the middle. It goes to right the middle of it because this is 9 inches wide. So then I measure the little piece from here to where it goes to 4.5 inches. Then I put dots all along. I don't know if you can see the dots, but I have markings all along to guide me onto where I'm going to put the nails once I start when I put the board on. So the plan is to put glue along the base of the board and the side. So once I put it on here, then I'll just use the nail gun to secure it on this side before I put my other side. Now on to putting the board, the main board on. So I'm aligning as I explained on the lines I drew at that base there. Once it's all aligned, then I can put that side and pretty much just put my screws where I marked all along. And then when I'm done with this, I'll have Matt help me on the opposite side. That way everything is nice and straight. So I'm aligning it, I have glue on there, and he's gonna hold, and I'm just gonna continue to put the screws on. I'm spreading it apart first just so it's stable, then I can add more in between, as you can see. Once all that is done, then we're gonna work on the very top part. Remember, the bottom is not yet stapled on or nailed on. We just have the sides holding everything together with glue and then with the nails. But now we're going to measure our top part and get that secure as well. We're going to move that down. Obviously, I'm sanding it down a little more because I realized that it's a little taller than where I want it to go. So I had to sand that top part to level it with the two side pieces. Once that's done, then we're going to just put that along the side with glue, of course. Then we're gonna staple or use the nail gun again to secure all that in place. So that is even getting that on. This is the final piece before we have to sand everything down. In order for this to be smooth, you have to really do a lot of sanding and a lot of wiping down and sanding again, just so it's smooth before you get the paint on. So we're measuring everything and we flipped it around. This is the bottom of the donut wall. Remember, I told you I had to measure to know exactly where the center point is so that my nails don't go onto outside the donut wall. I don't want any of them sticking out because it'll be difficult to really clip them, and I don't want anyone getting hurt. So all that is done. Now we're going to sand everything down and also try to fill in the holes. So once I sand, I use the vacuum to pick up the excess debris, and we're going to fill in the holes and all the spaces from where we use the nails. So we don't want the nails to show either. So I'm putting my wood filler all along the spots just to make everything smooth. Once the wood filler is on, we're going to sand again before we even get to painting. So you're seeing me do these finishing touches. It'll go mostly along the sides. The donut wall is close to being done, but we still have the dowels. This is quite a process, so brace yourself before you start making this. Not an easy task, but it's worth it at the end, especially when you see what you've done. Matt is caulking all the sides so that it's seamless, and when we paint, everything looks nice and finished. So I don't know how to caulk. I have him caulking all around. He'll do both sides, and then we'll move on to figure out our paint and our dowels right after this. But it's good to have help on certain things. I mean, would have figured it out one way or another, but it's just so much easier to find someone who can finish. I am also still finishing the filling as he's putting all the caulk all around and getting it nice and straight, but we're pretty much done. He's gonna do that bottom piece. There you go, and smooth it out, and then we'll move on. I believe it's the next day after this that we're gonna continue. This was not an easy process, not a one-day thing, but of course had other projects and other things going on in addition to family, so it made it hard to get it all done. Now he made this board thing for the dowels, so it's easy to paint the dowels, and they're able to dry easily. So once we paint them, we'll put them back in these holes on that wood so that they can dry. But we didn't finish all this today because we decided to spray them the next day. So I'm rolling as much as I can, and he's gonna help me cut the pieces. I'm not gonna show that part, but he'll cut them all down to size, and then you see me put them all on the board nice and smooth. We're priming right here and moving on to the next day here shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, it is day 3 of the donut wall. So we left last night. I'm back this morning, had a couple of appointments, and I decided to spray paint it. I think it'll be smoother, it'll be faster, it'll be a lot better. So that being said, it is pretty windy here. I'm trying to decide where I want to spray it. I'm thinking this corner right here. Let me see. Right here, because it's enclosed, so I have some wind blocking. Not wind blocking. Some guard here. When I stand here, the wind is not as bad because the wind is coming from this direction. Out here, and the dowels, and I'm just gonna spray the dowels. Matt built this contraption to support it, so I'm gonna put it outside, spray the first coat, let it dry. I probably need to sand this. I'm gonna sand the wood filler. I filled all that, you saw that last night. So I'm gonna sand it, wipe it down, spray it, let it dry. While it dries, I'm gonna go start cleaning the front space that I had left to clean, and then I'll come do the second coat, and hopefully I should be done. It's 12 o'clock. I only have 2.5 hours because I need to go home, get some stuff done, and Sabi has a gymnastics meet, so I might be here late again tonight. So let me move all this outside and I'll show you guys how I spray. Matt showed up. Look at my new look. So he's gonna help me. Hopefully we can get this knocked out, and tonight I can just put the polyurethane. But I want to clean the front area and start working on staging that in addition to doing this, because no time. Let's move closer. time to put on the dowels. They're all cut to size, and remember, I didn't paint each end. So once I glue these on, then I'll just use the brush to touch up or paint when I'm spraying, to just spray the very tips that are exposed. But the thing here is you have to make sure all the dowels are straight. So if you're not able to eyeball so that they're all coming out in a straight manner, then you can use a leveler with each section. So once one row is done, use a leveler to make sure it's nice and straight. Make sure you adjust before that wood dries, but I'm just eyeballing it and using a hammer to make sure it's all the way in so they don't fall out. The worst thing will be when they transport it, it falls out. So I'm just working my way up and we'll be done pretty soon. So our first coat is done and dry. I'm working on sanding it again before I'm able to apply the coat. The difference is now my dowels are all on and secure, and I have to sand the dowels as well to give it a good finish. So I'm taking my time, sanding everything down, then wiping all that down with a slightly damp cloth, letting it dry for a little bit. Doesn't take long because the cloth is not soaking wet, and then we'll spray our second coat on. And once that coat is done, we'll be done and dry, of course, we'll be ready to put our polyurethane on. It has been about 2 hours actually. I waited 2 hours because I've been busy cleaning and doing other things. I'm gonna put the second coat. First one is dry. It's really shiny. So it doesn't look like it's dry, but it's dry. I think earlier right next to the dowels looked wet, and they're a little bit wet, but I'm gonna put the next coat and not put as much there. That way, by the time I'm done finishing my cleaning and the setup I'm doing, it will be ready and done, or it can dry overnight as well. Pretty much has to stay dry. It says 24 to 48 hours to be used, so we're good there. At first I thought it was 30 days, but I think this is a safer one than the one I did reviews on previously. So I'm gonna put the second coat on. Not gonna record that because you already watched me. I'm gonna pretty much repeat what I did for the first coat, and then that's it. I'll show you when I put the words on the top, and I might do the back, I don't know yet, but that's pretty much it. Wait to see the letters that go on top. This is the final look with 2 coats of the polyurethane. It's all complete. I hope you liked the tutorial and the video. If you're not subscribed, please click that red subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And we are going to apply our vinyl. Now this is not a permanent vinyl because we do want it to come off if we have to change the wording, but it holds pretty well. I've had it on now for over 6 months and it's still on, but you can pull it off, you can change the word. So thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, of course, and let me know in the comments what you think of the video, and if you have any tutorials you would like for me to post. And again, remain blessed, and thank you again for being here.